OG Anunoby has been traded to the New York Knicks. OG Anunoby, Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn go to the Knicks in exchange for RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley, and a 2024 second-round draft pick. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Raptors NBA podcast. We are your hosts, Alex Drobin and Andy Redding. We've been on a bit of a hiatus. We were both taking a bit of time during this holiday season. Now we are back with a bang because OG has been traded. We've been talking about OG being traded for the last 3 weeks, a month. Here to break it down, me, Andy, we're bringing on our guy, Dan Smith. Big, huge Raptors fan, knows what he's talking about. We'll bring him on to get his insights on the trade. Andy, what are your first thoughts?
It's time to wake up, Raptors fans. Wake up. You thought you were going to have a sleepy holiday season? No. Messiah works when you're sleeping, when you're resting. Initial thoughts. Love the trade. We've been knocking at the door for months.
Knock.
Who's there?
RJ Barrett, that's who.
Immanuel Quickley, right behind him. Possibly right in front of him. I love the trade. OG, free agent after this year. He could walk. You couldn't have him go for nothing. And they got some nice pieces back. I love it.
The biggest part that people aren't talking about is Immanuel Quickley. Like, I think he's a nasty player. He's a great asset. You want a starting point guard. Do you think he can fit that starting point guard role for the Raptors?
Yes, I think him and Scotty are going to do dangerous things. Some pick and roll, I don't know, he can create his own shot. He can get guys open. I love it. I have a comparison for Quickley. These are the guys we've been talking about. A younger guy who has some upside.
You've been talking about this.
This could be a Tyrese Maxey type guy who takes the next step with a team that's ready to give him the next step. The Knicks weren't ready to give him the keys, but the Raptors are.
I was looking at his line this year, 2023-24 season stats, 15 points a game, 2.4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Like, this guy is shooting 45% from the field goal percentage. You're right. This is exactly what you were talking about in terms of getting a guy who's younger. He's 24 years old. He has a ton of room to grow with Scotty. I love this. What about the RJ Barrett piece of this? What do you think of the trade? What's the impact on both teams?
He's got a fat contract might hurt the Raps a bit financially. Some people seem to think he's kind of a bust. I think he's still got room to grow. He's a year older than Scotty, and we still think Scotty's going to grow. So why don't we think RJ is going to grow anymore?
You're talking about like grow physically, right?
Physically grow a few inches.
RJ comes to Toronto, grows another 3 inches. It's like, what? How did that happen? That's
no,
Canadian. It's that Canadian bacon we're feeding him.
Canadian bacon and that nice clean Toronto water. So tasty.
So tasty. Way tastier than New York filth.
Ugh.
Ugh.
No, right. He's got room to grow, right?
Yes, he does have room to grow. I think that him coming back into the Canadian landscape, into this sort of situation, I think it's going to give him a jolt of energy. I think he'll have a really good second half of the season right now, just because he'll be back home. He's going to get the biggest cheer out of any new Raptor that's come in since, well, I was going to say Kawhi Leonard, but there hasn't really been anyone before that. I think even bigger than Kawhi. Do you think?
No, not that big. No.
I think it'll be big, Andy. I think it'll be just as big, if not bigger, than Kawhi coming to the Raptors, man.
That's outrageous. You think it's going to be just as big? The cheer is going to be just as big?
I think so, yes. He's a Canadian kid. It gives the Raptors new hope, you know?
It does.
That's what it is.
Even the second round pick is nice. It's the Pistons pick, right? It's going to be it's essentially a late first round pick. It's nice.
What are your thoughts about giving up Malachi Flynn and Precious Achiuwa?
2 guys. We got IQ in the trade, and we gave away 2 non-IQs. They're not smart basketball guys. They have no basketball IQ. We got Immanuel Quickley back. Yeah, we win the trade. I'm sorry. I'm so excited.
I know how big of a fan you were of Malachi Flynn, so this must be killing you right now.
I never liked any of them. I always thought both those guys were.
See, I really liked Precious Achiuwa. I think he brought a lot of energy. The guy would slam on guys. He would, he's very active in and around the rim. I think we will miss that. But at the end of the day, he's like 6'7", you know? He's like 6'7", playing big man minutes with centers. So it's like I think he was pretty aggressively undersized, But having said that, I still think it's absolutely worth giving him up for what we got back. Like I am jacked up over this trade. This is the first time this season I've been excited about the Raptors.
They're gonna be fun to watch. There's a new element, guys that can grow. It's not gonna be frustrating. The offense Quickley is just immediate offense. I'm very excited to see that. The Raptors need this. Their half court offense sucks. It's gonna get better.
Let me ask you a question.
Please.
How much better or worse are the Knicks becoming after making this trade? Because listen, man, 15 points a game you're losing from Immanuel Quickley. RJ is averaging 18, 4, and 2. So like you're literally losing 33 points a game. You're not getting that back from those three pieces from OG, Precious, and Malachi Flynn. Maybe OG goes a little bit higher, closer to 20 points a game. Maybe.
What?
I don't think so.
Playing behind Brunson.
Julius Randle and Brunson, yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think he does. I think he gets the same amount of shots.
So that's what I mean. They didn't bring in any more offense. They just brought defense. So what do you think? Are they getting better, worse? What are your thoughts?
A good litmus test of this is looking at Knicks Twitter today. Those fans are not happy. It is dreary times in Knicks land. They picked up a guy who is not even guaranteed to re-sign with the Knicks. He could walk in the summer. He probably will re-sign, but even if he does resign, it's going to be for a fat contract. He doesn't really create his own shot. The Knicks need a superstar, and he doesn't put them over the top. I think they're still the same like first round exit team that we think they are.
So Knicks Twitter is seeing this in a negative light.
Yeah, they love Quickley. They think he's the future.
Man, I love that we got Immanuel Quickley on this. Like, I can't believe that's when we were talking about it, we said that it was just going to be RJ Barrett for OG Anunoby, and we were all kind of okay with it, right?
Kind of. Maybe like a draft pick in there or something, but yeah.
Yeah, and then Masai comes out off the top rope, bang, gets Immanuel Quickley in the mix. This is absurd. I feel like
the Raptors are going to have some bench scoring now too. Who knows? I don't know who they're going to start in the end, but you could have RJ off the bench. You could have Dennis Schroeder now off the bench. You could have Gary Trent Jr. off the bench. You have guys that can come in and score when you couldn't do that before.
He's probably going to start for us, correct?
Who?
Immanuel Quickley.
Well, they probably both are. Immanuel Quickley will, for sure, yeah.
So that's what I mean. So RJ is obviously taking OG's role. Immanuel Quickley going into the starting lineup, getting rid of putting Dennis Schroeder on the bench where, as you've been saying, he belongs, right?
That's a good backup point guard now. Now it's depth.
You've been saying this. He's a great backup point guard. And then now, like, we have a cohesive team with a bit more scoring. Just to introduce Dan to everybody, diehard Raptors fan, extremely high knowledge when it comes to the NBA, Raptors basketball, all sports in general. He's kind of like the sports czar of our group. He knows what's going on in every sport. So we had to bring him on because he just knows what he's talking about. All right, Dan, what are your initial thoughts on this trade?
I like it a lot, actually. I've always been a Barrett guy. I probably think RJ is a little bit better than he is, actually. I've always thought his ceiling was very high. I always wanted the Raptors to make a play at him. I think we're probably on the same page here, but for me, I'm just like, do something, man. Like, we can't just keep running it back over and over again. The same thing, putting out a team that isn't even a 500 team right now. So, progress for the sake of progress at this point feels like a win for me. I love the Quickley addition as well. I think that's a position that we need some help at. We need like a scoring guard, and at this point, we'll take that. I've always kind of thought OG was a little bit over it. I know he's a great defender. We've always been waiting for him to turn into something that he, quite frankly, is not. He has not been in his career, and I don't think he will be. What are we in year 7 now of OG? And he's never really turned into much of a player, in my opinion.
Yeah. So we were looking over the numbers, Dano, of what's happening with whatever. Immanuel Quickley's averaging 15 points a game, 2.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists. And then RJ is averaging 18, 4, and 2. So the Knicks are replacing about 33 points of scoring with OG, who's averaging about 14 points a game, and then Malachi and Precious Achiuwa. So what do you think that, are the Raptors, did we win this trade or did the Knicks win this trade?
I think both sides kind of win here. Obviously, as I mentioned, I think the Raptors had to make a move. They had to do something, right? You can't just keep running the squad back. Guys like OG actually have value still. Although, if you go on Raptors Twitter, you'd probably think OJ was, prime Kawhi Leonard the way that we think we value him. But I like the trade. I don't think we won the trade necessarily in a vacuum, but I think long term it makes sense for us. And you got to get something for OG. I think we learned that last year. The Raptors held on to players that we lost for nothing, and now the fan base is kind of turned against our management team. So, in a vacuum, I'd say it's both sides win. And actually, KOC, I just saw on Twitter, he thinks both sides won the trade. It makes sense for both sides. Bill Simmons, same thing. So, the aggregators, the sports aggregators out there that watch a lot of ball seem to think that this is kind of a win-win for both sides. New York Knicks Twitter is melting down, though. I will say that. I don't know if you've seen that. I've seen they're not loving the trade, which makes me feel better about it.
I don't know if they're better. I'm still like, there's a lot of points there. I don't know where they're getting their points from. I think they need another move.
Yeah, agreed, Andy. I think they've got to make another move. They've got to go out and get some more scoring now because they're giving up that scoring guard and quickly. And OG's like he's a spot up shooter. They tried to make him into a player who can back guys down and do this and that off the dribble. He's not. He can't dribble the ball. He dribbles it off his feet. He's a pretty good spot up shooter. That's about all he does. So you're gonna have to add some offense there, but he's instantly their best defender now, right? You have a guy who can guard any of the best, power forwards, small forwards, even shooting guards in the league.
I got a question for you guys. Could the Raptors, the rest of the season, could this trade be similar to the Rudy Gay trade, where you kind of trade away the best player, but it makes your team better as a whole, and the Raptors actually start pulling off some wins?
I like that thinking. When we made the Rudy Gay trade, it felt like we were giving up on the season, and they instantly got better. I think that has some potential here for that. Absolutely. I wouldn't guarantee that, but we'll see. It all depends how the pieces fit, right? I'm really excited to see RJ come out there and play in a Raptors uniform.
So Dan, I was going to say this. Dan, I was going to say, I think that RJ is going to get the biggest pop of any Raptor that's joined the organization over the last, I would say, 10 years. I would think over Kawhi Leonard. I think he's going to get a bigger pop because he's a Canadian kid. He's coming home. We needed this trade. He brings everyone hope. This is huge for the Raptors. I think he's going to get an absolute pop when he comes in. Standing O. Everyone's going to be standing.
That you're crazy.
Yeah, I think he'll get a big pop. I don't know about bigger than Kawhi. I think everybody, there's enough smart basketball fans in Toronto to understand what the Kawhi trade meant, and that sort of turned us into a overnight contender. So I don't know about that big, but it'll be up there, and especially because you consider we Canadians love Canadians.
That's right.
I bet Marc Gasol got a bigger pop than RJ is going to get.
Can you stop? Why are you such
that trade put the Raptors over the top. It was in season. There was so much momentum for the Raptors.
Oh, so now it's that trade that put us over the top, not the Kawhi trade.
Underrated pop, to be fair. Underrated pop call.
It's not going to be anywhere close to the pop that RJ is going to get. And maybe you guys are right. Obviously, it doesn't mean the same thing that Kawhi meant to the Raptors because we literally won a championship with them. But I think it'll be that case because he's Canadian. That's I think the only reason. Plus, it's just a new thing. We needed something, like Dan said. We couldn't have been sitting around doing nothing for the rest of the season,
Those new young tings.
Shiny new toys. And I think a lot of people that go to the games regularly, like you guys and myself, will understand that, hey, this is something. This is progress, man. We will. I think he'll get a big pop. I don't know about Kawhi Leonard pop, but I'm trying to think of a comparison. I like the Marc Gasol comparison there. That was a big pop.
Don't sleep on Gasol, Alex.
I'm not sleeping on Gasol. I'm just telling you guys it's a different story. This guy's Canadian. He's coming home. We're needing something new. The team is
for sure.
So the
He's got
Raptors right now, oh my God, this is so crazy. So I'm looking up all their stats and just typing in RJ Barrett. It's already updated on every website that he's a Toronto Raptor.
That's
Like
crazy.
ESPN.com, RJ Barrett, Toronto Raptor. That's actually wild. But I'm looking over the schedule here, and I'm just trying to compare like what our team was to what it's going to be, right? So I'm thinking like Andy, kind of what you said. Do you think that we have a chance to make the playoffs at this point, or are we kind of still scratching that play-in tournament mark? Because the Raptors right now, what's the record? They're 13-19, I think. No, 12-19.
They're like 1 or 2 back of the play-in, right? They can get in for sure. You get in the play-in, make some noise, things can happen. I don't think that's crazy.
Dan, what do you
It's
think?
possible. I would say, I don't know. I think this trade kind of signifies them going the other way, if I'm being honest. You're trading OG. I think Siakam might be next. I'm not saying they can't make the play-in, especially when it's, you just got to get to 10th place, man. But I would actually think this probably takes us the other direction. And we're trying to build towards next year and the year and years beyond that. I'm curious how you guys think RJ and Scotty are gonna kind of, mesh. Theoretically, they have a lot of similarities in their game.
I'm nervous. Maybe
Yeah.
put RJ on the bench. Maybe let him roll with different dudes. I don't know.
mean,
I mean,
what were you saying, Dan?
I was saying Scotty's got that left, or RJ's got that left hand. He's got the left-handed version. I mean, they could run some sick pick and roll action and stuff like that. It would be fun. Problem that I see with them a little bit is, like I say, very similar players. Scotty has added a little bit more shooting in his game this year, but RJ struggles in that department as well, right? So floor spacing might be a bit of an issue with those two guys playing together.
100% agreed. So when we were, and I said this before, we talked about this, but when we were at the last Knicks game, we noticed that Tim Thibodeau wasn't playing RJ at all in the fourth. Like he played like 2 or 3 minutes in the fourth. It was crazy. That's what this whole thing started for us, I think. But what happened was like, it seemed like when he was in the game, he had some really strong drives to the rim, but his shooting was off no matter when he took a shot. So it's like, you're right. Both of their games kind of overlap with each other, but it depends on how they're going to use him. I think Darko is like in a weird situation where he has all these pieces being thrown at him this year, and like nobody knows who's being traded, who's staying. You're right. Pascal's next. So it's like, how are they going to integrate him into the lineup? And is this a piece that they could potentially I hate to say this, but if what you're saying is correct, Dan, is RJ a piece that is going to be traded later on for something in a package or something like that? Do you know what I mean?
That's interesting.
If it goes with what you're saying in terms of us tanking or something.
I don't think they'll flip him. They've got, I think I saw he's under control for 3 more years. Not that he doesn't have value, but like, isn't that a piece we're kind of try to bring in and build around him and Scotty? I do think Siakam is somebody you'll see go. And if they don't, like, if those 3 guys are playing together, then you've got your 3 guys on the floor that are creating buckets for you, but none of them can shoot. Siakam's been the worst. I saw yesterday he's been the worst wide open 3-point shooter in the league this year.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Number dead last, whatever that number is, he's the last person. So he makes RJ look like a knockdown shooter right now.
Oh, he makes Andy Redding look like a knockdown shooter.
That's because I am a knockdown shooter. Game winning shot last time we played.
You did hit that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You did. Andy banged a game winner.
I do have to give a shout out to my guy Dro though, calling this trade literally weeks before it happened. Yeah.
Well, again, that literally happened because we were sitting at the game and he wasn't playing. And we were thinking, because Andy brought it up first. I gotta say, Andy brought up the fact that he wasn't playing at all. He's like, why hasn't RJ been like on the floor for the last like 5 minutes of the fourth quarter to start? And I was like, I don't know. And then that's what kind of got it into my brain. And then I was thinking like, that's probably exactly what the Knicks want right now in terms of defense. And then like, that's a gritty team, man. I think
a great team,
gritty team. Yeah. I think the Knicks fan base should be really excited about this because it just brings a guy who can lock down most wings in the league. And then you have a bunch of guys down there who are all gritty and play defense and get down and dirty. So I think this will really help them out to actually get wins, which is what they want. Unlike us, where we still kind of don't know what we're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Tibbs is going to love OG too. That is a Tibbs player right there. Just he doesn't need offense. Just plays 40 minutes a game. He can.
What are they? Right? Are they a contender now?
Oh, that's a good question. They've been playing pretty well. Contender? Probably not. Are they better than Denver? Are they better than
No.
OKC? OKC's like, man, like I've been saying,
fourth best team in the East at best.
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
To be fair, they didn't trade any significant picks away, so they have some. They might have a couple bullets left in the chamber to go make another move if they want to go get something big. I don't know what that is. If that's a Donovan Mitchell or somebody who can score 20, 25 a game. That's kind of what I think they're missing right now. But that team is starting to look real good. They kind of remind me of the Raptors pre and post Kawhi, and that they feel like one of those teams that it's like a half a step below contending level. Really good. They're, going to go win 48, 50 games, whatever it is. I don't think anyone's taking them seriously to come out of the East, let alone, challenge Denver or whoever comes out of the West.
Absolutely.
They need a dude. They need a guy that can make a shot in the last minute. They don't. Jalen Brunson is nice, but he's not the dude. He's not.
Yeah.
You're not going to win a championship with Jalen Brunson as your best player.
No, Brunson is better than I have ever given him credit for, but he's not a top 10, top 15 guy in the league.
But Dan, that's a good comparable because if you look at our team or, the Raptors 2019 versus this team prior to Kawhi, you look at Jalen Brunson, Fred VanVleet, you look at Julius Randle, Pascal Siakam, a couple of their bigs that, interchangeable. And you're right. If they got one more guy, I think Donovan Mitchell really wants to go there. I think when whatever happens with his contract, like that's a good, I don't know who they would trade though. Because now we have Immanuel Quickley, baby. Lock him up. Lock him up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. You'd have to go through the trade machine to see what would make that make sense. And you're right. I think that's a deal I might do if I'm the Knicks, if I can figure it out, because he might sign there. If I'm there's basically, I think 22, 25 teams in the league right now that I wouldn't bother with Donovan Mitchell, just because of how he's kind of behaved in Cleveland. But if I'm the Knicks, I'd do that. You know what else? They're one Kevin Durant away from being an absolute contender.
Well, every team is.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't know. Are the Suns right now?
I don't think
Suns
so
a
at
contender?
all. No, not at all. Even with Bradley Beal back.
Yeah, that's an interesting conversation, and it kind of gets us down a different path. But that's the kind of player I'm thinking. Like, and I know that doesn't make any sense really. He's got to make it work with Phoenix. But that's a guy. If you put that on that team there, and now you have a contender. Now you have a team that can go up against Philly and Boston in the East.
Here's one potential issue that I see with Immanuel Quickley. I think his trajectory, like if he keeps this up, I think his direct comp is Tyrese Maxey. The problem is, I think there are too many players on the Raptors who are in his same position, right? Like
Tyrese Maxey.
I love Tyrese. No, I'm saying like he's on. I think Immanuel Quickley has a very similar game to Tyrese Maxey, and he's on a very similar trajectory. It's just he's never gotten the right amount of burn to be able to put up the type of shots that he needs to put up to get there, which is exactly what Tyrese Maxey, the situation that he was in before that. So I think it'll be tough to get the most out of him, to squeeze everything out of him if, he doesn't get that much burn. But if he's the starting point guard, maybe with Scotty, I don't know. Like, I don't know how that's going to work. What do you guys think of that?
That could be poor man's Tyrese. If you get poor man Tyrese Maxey out of him, then I think the Raptors are looking at winning that trade, especially considering that we're probably going to lose OG anyways. I don't know. I've got to watch a little bit more Immanuel Quickley. I've had him on a couple of fantasy teams. I've watched him a little bit here and there. Never a guy that I've been like, oh man, that guy. Like, whereas Maxey right now is, exploding into an all-star level. What do you think, Andy?
So right now,
Knicks fans on Twitter talk about Quickley like Sixers fans talked about Maxey last year. It's the same. I think it's the same conversation. He's just like one step away from being a dude.
Yeah. Plus, like, again, when you look at that situation, Tyrese Maxey could never become anything because Harden was in front of him. Before that, it was someone else who was in front of him, Ben Simmons. So it's like Ben Simmons was there, then Harden came in as the point guard, and then he was always taking a back seat. So right now, if they're both, they're both gone, and he's absolutely cooking with Joel Embiid in the front court. And if you look at Immanuel Quickley's stats right now, so like I said, regular season, so 15 points a game, 2.5 assists a game, which is a bit concerning. If you're a point guard, like you should be getting more than 2 points.
Point guard.
Yeah. Yeah, and then his 3-point percentage is below 40, so 39.5.
That's pretty good.
Point percentage. Yeah. which is pretty good as well. Like, it's not, it's not, he doesn't have the best percentages across the board, but they're not bad at all.
He's going to be like, he could be the Raptors' best shooter immediately.
I think, yeah,
he does add some shooting to the team.
absolutely. And then, okay, Dan, what do you think of the loss of Malachi Flynn and Precious Achiuwa? What do you think of those two boys?
I might be Malachi Flynn's biggest Raptor fan, and I don't miss him much. I mean, I've always tried to, sometimes I find a love for the guys on the end of the bench. And Malachi was one of those guys I've joked about with you guys and some of our other Raptors fans. Like, I always thought he had a little bit more in there, but, we were at that Utah game a few weeks ago. And, it's like, what does he do? He's really small. He doesn't seem to make his open shots. He can dribble, he can pass a little bit, but I'm not going to miss Malachi. Precious, I don't know. It's an interesting one because I've kind of given up on him as well this year. In years past, I thought Precious was a nice little addition, especially considering we got him for free, right? That's in the sign and trade for Kyle Lowry. It felt like, hey, whatever we can get out of this, it's great. And he, had a little run there. He made some threes from the corner. He could dunk on people. He played a little D here and there, but he hasn't done anything this year. And, he kind of looks lost. And I don't look as you're not losing a lot there.
Dan, I have a little story for you. So when we were at that Utah game, so we had those nice seats in the front there, and the bathroom is through the tunnel. So I think you saw me post about that. So there's about 4 or 5 times that we saw Bobby Webster in the tunnel. He's literally in the tunnel, just hanging out. We were saying hi to Bobby. And there was 3 or 4 times where we said hi to Masai Ujiri because Masai was standing in the tunnel as well. Just standing there on his phone. By the way, he's like 6'5", 6'6", maybe.
Wow.
Masai's massive, yeah. And then on the last time that I was coming by, I said something about OG. I was like, you got this OG thing or something like that. And then he just looked at me. He went like this. But I dapped him up going in and out one time because I didn't think I was going to see him again. But I've dapped him up twice. And then when I said that to him, it was like he kind of looked at me like, oh, just a fan just being stupid. But it was funny because this is literally what he was probably cooking up on that phone right there.
That was the day where he's like, you know what? I got to make this trade.
Because he's like, that guy right there, he dabbed me up. He said, you got this OG thing.
Let the record show Alex called the trade a month ago, and then he dapped up Masai a week ago, and now the trade has happened. Alex did some things.
That's what the record will show.
Boys, one thing I'll say is that I am sad about this. We did grow up with OG. OG grew up in Toronto. We've known him since he was a child in the league. We've seen him play incredible defense for how long? 7 years now? Toe-to-toe with LeBron James on a lot of possessions. He's had a lot of shots hit on him by LeBron James on a lot of possessions. But he's played tons of great defense. He's been a great Torontonian, and we're absolutely going to miss him. This makes me sad. From a human perspective, how do you guys feel about this?
I feel sad. He was on the bench on that 2019 championship team. He was a part of it, even though he didn't really play. He was a part of it. Brought great memories to the team.
Dan?
Yeah, he got minutes there. He was part of that team. He was like you say, anytime you've had one of your guys that you've been in the trenches with for, almost a decade, it feels like, whatever it is, 6-7 years, you're gonna miss him. So thank you, OG, for everything that you did for us as a Raptor. Always a stand-up guy too.
No, absolutely. OG, we just want to thank you. Not sure if you'll ever see this, but we do want to thank you. Thank you so much for sticking around with the Raptors and just being a good Torontonian as well. Andy, thank you.
You bought his jersey in his rookie season.
I bought his jersey in his rookie season over Pascal's and over Fred's, I think.
Yeah.
I ended up getting Pascal's and Fred's as well, but OG's was first because that's how much I believed in OG. So thank you so much, OG.
Thank you.
About the game.
One last thing. There's a game. We're taping this an hour before tip-off. Raptors, Pistons. Raptors aren't going to have their dudes there. OG's gone. The new dudes aren't in town. No Quickley. No Barrett. Depleted roster. Does the Pistons losing streak snap tonight, Dan? Tell me.
Oh, I want to say no. I want to say no, but I felt like it was going to be. I've been looking at this game on the schedule for like a couple weeks now, and I've been hoping that they were going to snap the streak before this because I'm worried. I think we're going to be the team, and now we got nobody to.
Oh my God, are you guys really? You guys are really saying we're
Who's
gonna
going to guard
lose?
Kate?
Oh my God, the
What's been
Detroit
going on?
Pistons,
No, the
2-29.
Raptors win by 15 tonight.
The Raptors have an excuse though. That's good.
Oh my God,
there's
you
no.
don't want to be that team.
What is it? 28 straight.
Yeah, 28 straight. They're 2-29.
They
Should
got to win eventually, but not tonight.
They should have made this trade tomorrow or 2 days ago. This is the worst day possible to make this trade.
Oh my God,
We cannot
Imagine-
lose to the Pistons.
imagine if the Raptors
Scotty-
lose to the Pistons tonight.
Scotty won't let it happen.
No, no
Stupid
chance
guy.
Scotty's letting it happen. Okay, all right. Did we cover everything?
Everything.
All right,
We got
boys.
it.
Thank you so much for coming on. To anybody who's watching this, listening to this, thank you so much. Raptors NBA Podcast. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, Raptors NBA Podcast. And Andy?
Unsubscribe on every other platform to any other podcasts. Never listen to them again. And have yourself a happy new year.
Dan?
Nothing to add, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Say Happy New Year to the people.
Oh yeah, happy New Year, people.
Happy New Year, everybody.